How you guys doing again? This is Stan Banks from T-Shirt Side Hustle to bring you guys another side note. All right, today's side note is the number one problem I find that brands that I've worked with end up failing when they start out. All right, and that problem basically is because they live off of the money that they're making. So they get a little bit of sales, they end up going eating and going out, hanging out, instead of reinvesting that money. All right, the number one thing you got to do when you're starting out is you need to take your money and you need to reinvest it. So remember in some other videos I said, if I sell one shirt, I want to try to go back and buy at least two. All right, for me, it's more so about buying 4 or 5 more shirts based on how much I'm making them for, because I am producing my shirts on my own. All right, so when you start a brand, you either have to account for how you're going to pay yourself, if you need to pay yourself off of each shirt, or you need to basically make it a side hustle. So you should try to find another job until you can see the full dividends of what you can do after you reinvest into your brand. All right, so a little case study. Me and a friend of mine invested into another friend of ours clothing brand. He's a good marketer, and I was going to come on with the production side of things. So basically, what ended up happening was we had to have a sit down, a few meetings over time, basically saying, well, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. He had 2 problems. One problem was he didn't have the proper the proper web presence, where he had great social media, had a great following, and he didn't have a website where people who weren't from Delaware or basically in our immediate area could purchase. And you hear the stories about trapping out of your trunk and selling t-shirts out of your trunk, and that's all fine and well, but I personally don't believe you start making money selling t-shirts until you can get outside of your immediate family and friends. So having a proper web presence is a major key of that. And having a website, basically it could be as simple as click, point, and buy, and basically check out. So that was one of the main things we had to have a conversation about. And he went through about 4 to 6 graphic designers trying to produce his website. But at the same time, I had to sit down and step back and tell him that if at this point in time, if you're not able to get the website that you're looking for, there's something wrong with what you're asking for. It's not them, it's you. All right, then the second problem he had is he didn't want to pay himself. And I already knew, basically the way he operated was he had shows. So he would have a show, he would take about $3,000 worth of merchandise, $4,000 worth of merchandise, and he would sell out. But at the end of the day, he wasn't making money in between shows because there was no proper web presence. All right, I would go onto Instagram, I see people asking for a specific item with no response back, or basically it was nowhere for them to go buy it. They would ask where they could go buy it, et cetera, and there was nowhere for them to do that. And I know how hard it is to keep up with people asking for invoice and then getting their shipping address and sizing and all that stuff. So just having that one place where a person can check out is key. All right. Secondly, when we invested, he pretty much had just signed on to a shared space where he's going to sell products and different things like that. I would go there after work, and he basically would. I could sit there for 2.5 hours and watch him move about $500 for product with ease. After he made some new stuff. So one of the problems we had was that he didn't want to pay himself, but in the long run, we knew that because he didn't have another job or another source of income, eventually he would end up feeding back off of what it was that he was selling. And that's pretty much not a good thing, because say when I'm talking about reinvesting and buying more product up until you can get some real income in your pocket, if you're not having a show or you're selling products and now it's time to re-up, as we say. All right, if it's time to re-up and you go to the bank and you want to add more products for your next release, or you want to if you're selling out and you want to go from $3,000 worth of merchandise to $5,000 worth of merchandise, then you can't really and if you've been living off of that money, when you go to the bank to purchase your new merchandise, you will end up without money in there to purchase it. All right, so if you say you made $3,000 and you're spending $800 or $600 a month over a 4-month span, by the time you get to the bank, you don't have $3 grand in the bank that you thought you did. All right, and that could come from anything from eating to travel to, gas in your car, hanging out, going for drinks, or just trying to keep up the appearances of the brand. All right, if you don't have the money in the bank when it's time to buy more product, which is the most important thing, because at the end of the day, if you don't have product to sell, you're not going to end up making any money. All right, so we had to sit down and say, well, if you wasn't in the shop during these are the set store hours, well, who would be in here selling the product? We would have to pay that person, so why not pay you? So whether it's minimum wage, it's $10, $15 an hour, whatever it is, set it aside that you can pay yourself based on store hours. So we decided that we would pay him based on store hours, and if he decided to be there till 1 o'clock in the morning, that was on him, because artists like to work all times of the night, different hours, et cetera, et cetera. So just set it aside. The other thing that you can do is say that you're selling t-shirts for $25. You can pay yourself $5 off of every shirt and reinvest the other money back into the business. So let's just say you need to make a light $100 a month extra. That would tell you that you need to sell 20 shirts a month. And you can take that goal and break it down week by week, which would be 5 shirts a week. All right. You could also break that goal down, which would be a daily during the week, 5 days a week, 5 shirts. That's 1 shirt a day. And you can break that goal down no matter how much money it is, but that should drive you to push your sales up to meet that quota. You may not hit your quota every day. So say it was 3 shirts a day that you need to reach and you didn't sell any shirts on Monday and Tuesday. Come Friday payday, you might be able to pick up that slack. All right. And you just have to approach it as such. But having micro goals to try to get to that macro goal is what you want to try to accomplish by doing this. All right, so that's pretty much this tip for the day, this side note. One last thing, don't forget you guys can go to the GoFundMe and support the page so we can get a new camera, so we can stop using this iPhone, which is out of storage and keeps cutting my videos short. Also, make sure you guys like, comment, rate, and subscribe. Help the channel out. I've been spending a lot of time now making sure I tag and properly title all the videos and going back to some of the old ones. All right, guys, man, Stan Banks from T-Shirt Side Hustle. Happy printing.